Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with Pacific Nut Producer Magazine, reporting to you from the annual conference of American Pistachio Growers here in Southern California, in Carlsbad. I'm here with Bob Schramm. He's been legal counsel or the federal advocate for American Pistachio Growers for the last 40 plus years. And here at the conference, they've paid special tribute to him as he is beginning to make a transition and retiring. They paid special tribute, recognized him for his many years of service to the industry. Wanted to talk with you about, well, the last 40 years and what all this has meant to you.
Well, I've been very fortunate to be representing this industry from its infancy. We've had some wonderful projects over the 43 years. Obviously, the most important one was the unfair trade case that we brought back in 1986 with reference to Iranian pistachios. And since then, no competition has entered the United States, and that's the reason why the industry has grown.
And that's really critical because we know other agricultural industries here in California that struggle with the same thing in their commodities. So the fact that pistachios has been successful in keeping out that competition, I'm sure you had a whole team on it, but we really appreciate your efforts in that. Tell us a little more about the last 40 years.
Well, the great thing was the leadership in the industry, and the industry from the beginning said, we're going to be involved with free trade. And so there is most of our export markets now are zero tariff going into these countries. Yes, we do have a tariff of 10% going into India, but we're looking at India as a big market for the U.S. pistachio industry. We had a great interest back in the late 1990s with reference to opening Europe to U.S. pistachios. We also had an incident where Israel was not importing any pistachios from California, and we changed that. We've had some phytosanitary issues with reference to bushy top problem with pistachios, and just recently we've had the COVID issues. So this has been a most interesting client to work with.
It's definitely a lot of issues over the years, and even now we have different things that we're dealing with as an industry, but really grateful for your dedication and working with them and helping to bridge the gap of communication with federal authority to make it so that we could continue to grow this industry. Like pistachio industry has grown tremendously, and those export markets you mentioned Europe, India, China, I don't know where we would be without some of those markets. Because that's part of the growth. It's got to go somewhere. And a lot of that is going overseas.
What is interesting is since 1977, when we first marketed 1 million pounds, up until today, when it's approximately 1 billion, in the next 8 years, it's going to double. Wow. And so the projects are going to increase.
Now looking ahead, right, so you're getting ready to transition out, retire. How's that process going to work? Is APG well equipped to continue having that federal advocacy in the future?
Yes. We have spent now 6 months in looking at different firms that could represent APG, and we have selected a firm called Olson Frank Weeder, which we believe will be very successful.
And your own firm, it's going to continue on as well, right?
Schramm, Williams and Associates will continue, but younger people will be taking over the firm.
Well, we're glad to see that you're imparting some of your knowledge, the past 40 plus years, not just with APG, but in so many other organizations that you've been dedicated to across the agricultural industries here. We thank you on behalf of the industry for your great efforts. Be sure to read more about it in Pacific Nut Producer Magazine. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.